What is up? I'm Miguel Antonio, and you are listening to the Live and Create podcast. It's where I interview artists and entrepreneurs about what it means to live a great life and create great things. And before we jump into the podcast, I'd love for you to check out my band, Run With It. Here's a clip from one of our songs called It's Not Over.
With this blood on my mouth, they almost knocked me out. I was down and they were counting. I could hear in the crowd, they had it all figured out. Tried to kill me with this shouting. Where did they see that look in my eye? Stood up, the crowd fell silent. Day in and deep, ready to fight. This is not the end. I know it's not over. Won't stop till we won. Keep on moving forward. Go and tell them we're not done. I know it's not over. Let's shine like the sun. He's still getting bolder. Go and tell them we're not done.
If you like what you heard, make sure you check us out at Run With It Band, at Run With It Band, everywhere you follow people at, or go to runwithitband.net. It'll take you to all the different links you want to go to, and there'll be a little button you can click for booking information. Now for today's podcast.
The Live and Create podcast.
So now you're solo a lot more
Oh, yeah.
on the podcast.
And I had my first solo episode, our most recent episode. So it was an interesting episode, but I tried to figure it out.
How did it feel not having the back and forth, like having to carry it? Sometimes that could be tough. How did it feel for you?
Yeah. It's definitely harder to carry a conversation because you have to like stick to a topic and just keep going and going and going rather than having someone there talking with you and hearing their voice and their opinion and what they have to say about whatever you're talking about.
You're like, it's just all my thoughts.
Yeah, it's just
better or for worse.
myself, and I, and hopefully the people like it. So
Now I got to ask, were you the one doing the Batman voice in the beginning?
I was.
At least that's what I thought you were going for.
We were going for a Batman voice, and we were just having fun with it. But that was actually
You
Don.
nailed it.
That was Don.
That was Don.
Yep.
Well done, Don. Let him know I said well done.
Will do. Yeah.
I know he's in the back hearing like one side of a conversation and keeping the lights on at this point.
Yep.
Now, when did you start working with Don and or were you doing the podcast before Don got to the school working with you guys?
Actually, I ended up moving to Kansas City semester of my sophomore year. So end of December 2022.
Okay.
And I had him as one of my teachers, and it was his first year here. I'm a new student, so we're both kind of new. And I was taking his sports and entertainment marketing class, and then my junior year, I had some more classes with him. And then senior year, I have more classes with him, and I kind of just had this idea, like he has all this equipment, all this stuff that he buys for broadcasting for the people to use, make their own projects and stuff like that. And I always had this friend who's the co-host, and I was like, we're going to start a podcast. And he's like, okay. And then we started a podcast, and I don't even know what happened, but 1 month became 2 months. 2 months is about to become 3 months. And I don't even it went from whatever, we're just trying to get through school to let's start a podcast to where we're at now, and it's almost 3 months, and I'm just like, wow. So and it all started with Don just saying, yeah, all this stuff is for you guys to use. I mean, he's got a studio here, studio that I'm using, another studio over there. I'm just like, if no one else is going to use it, I may as well use it. So
that's awesome. It sounds like you all know what you're doing too, because the sound is like great quality, all that coming together. So obviously you guys are putting some time and effort into it, which is really, really cool.
Oh, yeah. And if there's ever a fire in the school, it's probably from one of our cables, because there's about probably 1 million cables back here, all into one outlet with a couple of extension cords.
That's exactly how it should be,
Oh, yeah.
right? When you're just starting it up. Now, as far as the podcast itself, what inspired you to start that? You know, obviously beyond the influence of Don helping out and the resources that are there, what about podcasting that drew you?
Honestly, there was Like, there was a part to that, like, drew me towards podcasting, but then there also wasn't. I was just like, "Let's just do it, see what happens, and if it's good, may as well keep doing it." I mean, it's just something more that I'm able to do, and I was just like, me personally, I'm not the type of person to just sit back and wait for other people's to do it. I'm a go-getter. I'm like, "I'm gonna go do this. Imma start something new." And we ended up starting the podcast, and then we heard 3 different school podcasts started, but how many of them actually continued? Um,
Well, and that's the trick, right? Like there's so many starting is hard in and of itself. There's some people who will never start, but then that's the extra trick is can you keep it going day after day after day?
yeah.
You know,
And
that's really tough.
yeah, and that's the hard part is continuing to keep going, especially when, "Hey, do we have guests scheduled this week? Hey, can you record this week? What times can you record? Blah, 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 blah. Do you need a ride?" I don't know. Like, it's just whatever circumstances it is. Like, before he got the job, we did anything we could to record 2 times a week, have a
Right.
couple in storage in the vault ready to drop for, like, holiday specials, and then we ended up
Mhm.
just dropping them anyways because we were on top of it, 2 episodes a week. We didn't care what people thought of us. We were just like, "We're doing this for fun. We think it's fun. We hope you guys enjoy it." So, yeah.
Well, obviously, you're a go-getter, like you said. You want to go make things happen, and the fact that it is happening and happening consistently, you have a lot of skill sets in there. Where does that where does that passion come from? Or are you like the kid doing a lemonade stand and like stacking up cash when you're 5, or is it something new for you as you hit high school?
So, honestly, the go-getter probably comes from, I wanna say both my parents, but, probably more my mom because she'll start something and then she won't stop until she's done. She will do anything it takes to get whatever tasks she just started done. So I feel like I kinda growing up with that, I kinda was some skills that was passed down to me and just go get it. Start it and then don't stop. Don't stop until you're done. So I'd say my parents is where I got that from.
That's awesome. Now with the entrepreneurial spirit that you have, you started the Cheesecake company as
Yep.
well, right? Now, did I'm curious, did that start with a love for baking or a love for business and you just saw like an opportunity with cheesecake? Like where did that start for you?
So it has nothing to do with either of those. It started, so before I moved here, I lived in Phoenix, Arizona, and I play baseball and I play for this high school and I play competitive. And travel ball is really expensive for no reason. And we moved here. I was like, okay, I need money for this college camp, this coaching, working out, all this other stuff. I'm like, I need the money. And so when I was younger, my mom always made these no bake cheesecakes and just sold them to friends and family just to raise some money so that I can go do XYZ with baseball. So when we moved here, once we all got settled in, I went to my mom in August of 2023 and I was like, "Hey, can you teach me how to make those cheesecakes that you make?" And she taught me. And then I was like, "Okay, can I make this a business?" And she's like, "I don't see why not." And so, August of 2023, it started my no bake cheesecake business. And it started just in my neighborhood. I have about 43, 44 houses in my neighborhood. And a lot of people bought, a lot of people loved it. And then my neighbor across the road actually came up with the name and was like, "Yeah, you should call it Riker's Cheesecake Tavern." And I was like, "Hmm, okay." So I took it, ran with it, and that's kind of been my thing ever since August of 2023, just over a little bit over a year now.
I love it. You got into cheesecake because of your love for baseball.
Yep.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
Well, I was looking at some of them like, man, this makes me hungry
Yeah.
right now. Like the pictures of it looks good. So right now, are you just doing like just in the neighborhood? Or are you doing online orders?
So I do honestly everything. I serve the high school, the middle school here that's right literally in the same parking lot, another elementary school down the road. I'm in a couple businesses around Smithville.
That's
I
awesome.
sell in North Kansas City, Kearney, Liberty, Platte County, all those areas.
So are you baking and distributing all yourself, or have you taken on some employees to help with that?
So I do it all myself, but in November it got ridiculous. I mean, I did a fundraiser partnering with the Smithville Deca, and we ended up selling around 95 cheesecakes, and I had to make 102 cheesecakes within 4 days. So
That's a lot
that
of
was a lot of
cheesecakes.
cheesecakes. So I asked my mom, I was like, "Hey, can you help me make these cheesecakes?" Cuz I mean, there was days like one day we spent 9 hours making cheesecakes. We didn't even have fridge space for it all.
Well, that's how I'm
And I'm
wondering, do you
just
have like a garage full of refrigerators where you're just stacking cheesecakes in there? Like, how do you even pull that off?
So we have our freezer in our garage that we try not to use because we don't want to freeze them too much, especially right before delivery. And then when we're fulfilling these big orders, I'm always telling my mom, "Hey, I got X amount this week and I might need a little bit of fridge space." So she'll clear out a section in her fridge. But in November, within those 4 days, we had literally nothing in our fridge besides milk, eggs, and cheesecake. Like, that was about it. So, and then we totally forgot about our mini fridge out and down in the basement. So we filled up a mini fridge
Man,
of cheesecakes as well.
there you go.
And then,
So you guys basically fasted while you cooked cheesecake, or did no bake cheesecakes for several days
yeah, basically.
at that point.
Yeah.
That's
We
brilliant.
ended up eating sausage, cheese, and crackers for dinner one night because we didn't have anything prepared.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So right now I imagine you're going to ramp up again for Christmas.
Oh, yeah. So right now I'm doing a couple promotions and I'm actually doing another fundraiser with the high school's FBLA team. So hopefully they end up selling a whole bunch of cheesecakes for the Christmas time. But last year, so I expect to sell the same amount as last year. And last year I'd only been around for 4 or 5 months and I sold 200 cheesecakes in the month of November and December last year. And so I just did 102 in 4 days. So I'm hoping to get around 100 for December as well. So,
I love it.
yeah.
That's awesome. Now, are you still doing baseball?
I'm still doing baseball, and we actually just had our first winter workout, I guess. After school, we went down to our weight room and worked out for an hour, and then, yeah. And then once we get back, we have school until December 20th, and then Christmas break. And then we get back and we do 2 days in our barn and then 2 days in the gym. And then tryouts are middle of February or something like that. And then we go into
Then back at it again.
back at it
Just
again.
keep wrapping around.
Yeah.
That's baseball's a lot. My two youngest are in soccer, and it's just basically year round. It's like one season ends, you get like a week maybe, and then another indoor season or a different travel season starts, and
Yep.
they're at it. You know,
That's how it was
Now,
back in Arizona. I mean, you have maybe not in the summer, but you have nice enough weather to be playing baseball year round until high school season hits. Then you can't do club, and then once high school season's over, it's club until then. So,
and keep going.
oh, yeah.
Now, out of the cheesecake, out of the podcasting, out of the baseball, what are some of the themes that you feel like the transferable principles in all three of those things that help you be successful?
Probably leadership, communication. Leadership and communication are my big ones. Communication's big in literally everything you do, whether it be as simple as a high school class or, hey, I just started a business. Who am I going to partner with? How am I going to get my name out there? How am I going to brand for myself? So I'm really big on communication. Communicate with me and I'll totally understand, even if it's like, hey, it doesn't fit with my schedule or something. I'm just like, totally fine.
Mhm.
Just communicate it with me. But communication's big in baseball, the business world, podcasting, trying to get guests on, co-host, trying to get him on. And then
And keeping the communication going during it as
Yep.
co-host, that whole.
Yep, exactly. And then my second biggest one is leadership. And honestly, as a high school entrepreneur starting a business, that's leadership in its own, kind of taking a step out there, doing something different. I don't know of many other high school students who have a business and is an active business every single month, every single day of the week, and then carry that over to the podcasting world. Leadership. No one's done it around Smithville. We're the only standing podcast in Smithville right now. So that's leadership in my books. And then leadership on the baseball field. I mean, especially being a senior, you got to take accountability, you got to take leadership, and you got to
Everybody's looking to you.
exactly. So those are probably my two big ones. I'm sure there's a couple others that you can throw in there that are in line with all three of those things, but
When it comes to communication, are there things that you actively do to grow in your ability to communicate clearly?
yeah, so in one of my biggest ones is learning to understand others' opinions and views and what they have to say and how they say things. And I get this from my English class this year, and it's an English class called Literature of Social Change. And it's basically just a bunch of kids, quote unquote, arguing about what their views and opinions are. And that honestly just opens me up to what other views there are and how I can communicate with people of different views and opinions as me, which is honestly a big
Absolutely.
thing because you don't want to just shut down and be like, oh, we don't have the same opinion or views as each other. So I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to communicate with you. I don't want to work with you, stuff like that. So I think being open-minded and understanding those are a really big help in everything I do.
That's awesome. I think that's such a powerful skill set. It's crazy. You guys sound like you have some pretty killer classes up there in Smithville. That's like some of the things Don has shared with me, some of the classes he teaches, and hearing about a class like that, even that kind of class, I don't feel like I hear about that being offered often. But yeah, I think 10 years ago, I thought completely differently than I did today. And ideally, I'll keep learning and growing. And 10 years from now, all my views will keep shifting and morphing and growing. But the only way we do that is if we bump up against people who think differently and learn new things, learn new philosophies, new ideas. Was it when you started that class, was it a little weird for you at first?
Honestly, no, because I'm the type to just like I was all right at voicing my opinion and understanding other people's opinions, but I was just like some of the topics I was like, I'm just gonna keep my mouth shut. I'm like, I don't want to say anything. I don't want to argue
Not
that
quite
much.
ready for this
Yeah.
one, right?
Yeah, but there's some, and there was another one like right before we went on Thanksgiving break that really sparked me that I don't even remember why we were talking about it, but it really sparked me and I voiced my opinion on it and honestly got a lot of positive feedback from my classmates as well. So I mean,
Nice.
but it just opens up a whole nother world. So
Now, as far as the leadership perspective, are there particular leaders that you look to in your life currently that you feel like you're saying, "Ooh, I love those tools that they're giving me. Let me try to implement that in my own life."
that's a tough one. And obvious answer is going to be my parents because
Mm-hmm.
they influence me enough to just keep going. And they don't try to like budge in too much and try to like, hey, maybe you should do this, that, the other, but like they give me guidelines of like, hey, what if you did this? Or hey, what if you reached out to so and so and all this other things? But leadership is would simple answer probably be my parents, which I feel like everyone would be saying if they were asked that exact same question.
But not everybody's parents give them or gave them a great environment to grow that
Yeah.
leadership as well. And it sounds like your parents have,
Mhm.
obviously the way that you can take the initiative, think for yourself, work these things out at such a young age.
Yeah. And like there's times where I'm just like, "Hey, what if I do this?" And my mom's like, "I'm all for it." And then my dad gives me the logical answer of like, "That's not gonna work." I'm just like, "What do you mean?" And then he'll tell me exactly why it won't work, and then I'm like,
Right.
"You're totally right." So my mom gives me the totally go for it, and then my dad just knocks some sense into me and is like, "That's not gonna work." And I'm just like,
It's that balance.
"Yeah,
It's that balance they're trying to.
it's an equal." So, yeah.
Now, this is your senior year, right? What are you dreaming about as far as after high school?
After high school, I wanna go to college, go to business school, major in honestly, I don't know. Something business, something marketing. I mean, it's such a wide variety of things to choose from. I can't just tone it down to one specific thing right now, but I definitely want to be in sales, marketing of the sorts, social media. That honestly, so many different things. And now that I started like podcasting, I announced youth football when youth football was going. I was like, hey, what if I
That's pretty cool.
go be a broadcaster? What if I go broadcast for CBS or something? I don't know. Like, I feel like doing so many things at a young age and knowing the people I know and having the connections with those people definitely opens up a wide variety of things that you can do. It's just a matter of going to school and getting the certificate of saying, hey, I'm qualified and now I know all these different people. What should I do now? Is how I look at it. And that's definitely a choice that's probably going to have to be made within probably the next couple of months, I'd say, because it's almost
It's coming up.
2025. And
Yeah.
it's crazy because I started this year and I was like, this is gonna be a slow year. But no, we're almost a semester deep. We're almost at Christmas break. And I'm just like, where did time go?
Yeah.
And everyone's like,
Well, it's been a long time since my senior year, but I feel like I remember going into it thinking, I got so much time. And I swear the next year I was like I was a freshman in college. I was like, oh, what just happened? How is this going?
it's so different because all the seniors last year, like, it's gonna be so slow and you're gonna hate it. But I work concessions for all of our winter and fall sports as well. And
Hmm.
on Friday nights, we do our football games. And the past couple years has just been like, okay, football season is just dragging along. Can it be over already? This year went by so fast, and we're just like, it's over already. And then we're starting baseball. Baseball goes by in a flash every time. And I'm just like, okay, well, first half went by really fast, and baseball is in the second half, and that always goes by fast. So I guess I'll be graduating pretty soon.
Yeah, like next week.
Yeah,
That's when
it's gonna feel like
that's when
next
it's
week, and I'm gonna be walking across the stage, giving everyone hugs, and then I'm gonna wake up the next morning and be like, "Okay, time to go to school." It's gonna be like that. I have a feeling. I'm just gonna be like, "I graduated. I didn't know that."
now at 17, you're 17, right?
Yeah.
Is that
Yep.
right? So you've turned yourself into a broadcaster, podcaster. You've started a business. These are all very non-typical things, I would say, for a lot of high schoolers, people your age. What's the reception been like from classmates and from friends as you branch out into these things?
Yeah. So there's definitely been a positive and a negative, and I'll start off with non-classmates, even though you didn't ask. But
I like this.
everyone
Take the reins, my man. You got it.
everyone outside of the high school is like, that's really cool, or how'd you come upon that, this, that, and the other. And they've honestly been really supportive. But in the high school, it's kind of been 50-50, honestly. Like, some of my friends are like, dude, it's totally worth it, I love what you're doing. And then others are like, oh, whatever, it don't affect me. And then I got people, please have me on the podcast, please have me on the podcast. And I'm just like, okay, hold on, slow it down. And then there's definitely those people that are like, okay, this is stupid, I don't know why you're wasting your time. I'm just like, okay, that's what you think. I don't think that, and I don't associate with those people in any way, so it doesn't affect me. So
for you, it's pretty easy to just kind of turn off the people who are basically talking shit, like the people who are trying to like bring you down.
Yep.
That's awesome, man.
And that's one of my favorite things about myself is I don't care what people think about me. I don't care what you have to say about me. I know it's true. I know where my heart is. So just let me do my thing.
Well, and going into the entrepreneurial world, I think that's a huge asset because I struggled on the opposite end where I was a people pleaser, and it's funny because I became a people pleaser, but then when I recognized it, I became a total asshole to people. It's like I overcorrected.
Yep.
And so somewhere along the way, I had to bring it like in the middle. But I think that's a huge asset to be able to say, no, this is where I want to go. And it doesn't matter who's going to support me or not.
And
it can be sometimes painful, but
yeah, I got the same kind of feedback when I first started my cheesecake business as well. And I got it into the school, and I was honestly so grateful to have a new principal who's totally for everything I do, loves it all. I got him on for 2 different episodes on the podcast, loves everything I do. And I got my cheesecake into the school, and all the teachers are like, this is great. And we did something for all the teachers, and everyone loves the cheesecake. Everyone started buying cheesecake. And then next thing you know, there's flyers up all over the school. I'm in the morning announcements, and all the kids are like, this is stupid. Like, what is he doing? And I'm just like, okay.
You're like, I'm making money, bro.
That's exactly what I'm doing. I'm trying to make some money over here. Meanwhile, you're just saying it's stupid, and I'm just like, okay, I don't know what more you want from me, but you don't like that I go on and talk to a microphone for an hour, and then I post it on everything. You don't like that I make cheesecakes and I sell them. So what do you want me to do with my life? You just want me to be a low life? You want me to just go to school and then go work at Price Chopper the rest of my life? Or what do you want me to do? It's not a lot of positive feedback for cheesecake from classmates, I guess.
So that one's been the tougher one.
Oh, yeah. But again, I don't care what they have to say because I'm not selling to them. I'm selling. My target market is adults and people with families. So I'm just like, oh, whatever. You're not the one I'm selling to anyways. So, but feel free to tell your parents about it. That's literally what I tell them, because there's been multiple kids ask me how much they are, and I'm just like, $24. They're like, that's expensive. I'm like,
you're like, start a business and you can afford it.
Yeah, exactly. And but I'm like, $24 is a bargain, especially for competitors who sell it for like $36. So I'm just like, okay, I don't know what you want from me.
I love that though. Tell your parents about it. You won't like it, but tell your parents. That's great. Give them my card.
Yeah,
Tell them to give me a call.
I gave one kid my card, and I was like, yeah, make sure you tell your parents about it. And I don't think he's ever talked to me since. So
that's brilliant.
Yeah,
I love it. Well, obviously you are great at networking. You understand the power of partnering with other people. What if someone, say there's another high schooler out there, maybe a freshman, sophomore, is wanting to step into that, what advice would you give them in the realm of networking, how to start those relationships?
Be yourself. Don't try to be someone you're not, because if you're putting on a mask and faking everything and building these connections, once you build up those connections and then show your real face, they're not going to like who you are as a person. They're just going to be like, okay, he just faked it, and now I'm part of this. So my big thing is stay true to who you are. Don't change for anyone in the world, no matter what it is. Just be yourself. And I feel like that's a thing people struggle with a lot, especially here at our school, is people putting on a fake face for everyone around them, for whatever situation that they have going on. But just stay true to who you are, because that says more about your character than putting on a fake face and then everyone actually figuring out who you are themselves later down the line.
Yeah. Or the worst is you're just stuck playing this role forever. I see that in the music world where it's like this facade happens and then they're just kind of stuck and they don't know how to even break out of that, which is just it's a sad thing when that happens. I love that advice of being true to yourself, because what I've found as well is when you're just yourself, there's some people like you've experienced that aren't going to like you. They're not going to like what you're about, and they're not going to like what you do. But guess what? You wouldn't have enjoyed hanging out with them anyway down the road. But then all of a sudden, as you yourself, you attract other people who think the same way, who are, looking to build the similar kind of things, and life just gets way more fun.
Yeah, and that's what I try to do is I have like 2, 3 friends probably. And if you don't have the same goals as me, then I'm just like, yeah, sure, I'll talk to you and you can be an acquaintance, but I'm like not gonna hang out with you outside of school. Not to like,
Just hard to connect in that regard.
yeah, I like not to be an a-hole or anything, but it's just like if you don't have the same goals as me, the same aspirations as me, I'm just like, there's no reason to really be friends because we're gonna be friends for what, 5 more months, and then we're never gonna talk to each other again. So it's just like that's building a relationship just for no reason, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well, and I've
I get
seen
a lot of
people
backlash
spend.
for that one, but I'm just like, I don't see a purpose in it when I could be building the connections I have even more and
Right.
making even more money. So that's how I see that.
Well, I saw this as a clip. I think it was 50 Cent was talking about a bottle of water and how much a bottle of water is worth. And he's like, some places they hand it out for free. Some places it's $1. If you go to amusement park, it's $7. On an airplane, it's worth $15. But he's like, it's the same bottle of water everywhere. And he's like, what changed? It's the context. It's the environment you're in. I think of that as like, it's the people you're around. Like if you surround yourself with people who see your worth and you see their worth, like you're only going to grow and continue to excel. And I think that's huge. Too often I think, get ourselves in environments. I know I've been in it where I feel like I'm the crazy one, like I'm the weird one who wants to work hard, like work all the time. Like I'm the weird one who like, oh, I'm obsessed, I'm whatever. But then when I suddenly met people who are on the same route as me, who are trying to do similar things, I'm like, oh shit, I'm not crazy. I'm not crazy at all. Here's my people. Here's my tribe. And that's a freeing feeling. So, and sometimes that means the tribe is much smaller maybe for a long time.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't agree with it, but the saying you are who you hang out with is 100% true, especially with how I see it and what I believe in. You're definitely going to become who you hang out with. And that's why you want to be around the people that have the same goals, same aspirations as you. Hence why I only have 2 or 3 friends.
It is true, man. It really is true. I've seen it time and time again in my life. Any like leaps in success, I can always trace back to a relationship that started. And it's like, oh, I met this promoter. Oh, I met this agent. I met this manager. And it helped elevate my thinking and elevate my execution in anything I was doing, which was, yeah, so true. What other advice would you give to, again, say like there's a freshman out there, they're hearing this and they're like, I'm not crazy. I want to do these things too. What other advice would you give to them?
Do it. I mean, there's honestly nothing going to stop you beside the first mind block that you're going to get is self-doubt, and it's going to be like, what am I doing with my life? Should I actually do this? Should I continue doing this? How do I get past this? So, one, you got to stay mentally strong is number 1. Get through that mind block that you got because you're the one that's going to stop you the most. And then once you get past that, you got to learn, turn your ears off. Don't care what anyone out there says about you and just do it. Because at the end of the day, no one can stop you besides yourselves. So get past yourself, go and do whatever you want to do it well. And then from there is communicate. You just want to be involved is my thing. And I get asked probably once a week, probably in one of my classes, what's something you would tell the freshmen and incoming freshmen? And every time I tell them, be involved because down the road, you never know. Hey, I was in this club. I did this, that, or the other. We competed for this. One, it opens up soft skills and hard skills, but communication, being involved, getting past that mind block, doing it. You got a crazy business idea, You never have a crazy business idea until you make it true, and then everyone's gonna tell you you're crazy for trying it. And that's basically what I would say is
That's awesome.
it all
Yeah,
starts within yourself, and you gotta get past that. So,
taking that first step. Are you familiar with Tim Ferriss? He wrote the book, The 4 Hour Work Week.
oh, yeah, I've heard about it, I haven't read it.
Yeah, it's a great read. I imagine you actually would really enjoy it. But one thing he does with people who have that mind block, where he coaches them to just try, he calls it like fear gauging or something. He has some name for it, but basically he just has them do like small things, like walk into a Starbucks and ask for a free coffee,
Mhm.
like things that are just uncomfortable. But then that helps people see, like, I survived that. I survived that. Okay, and then they can take those bigger and bigger steps.
Mhm.
Well, diving into the last two questions of the podcast. So for you right now, how would you describe, or how would you define living a great life?
Living a great life to me is I knew I was gonna get asked this question. There's no way to prepare for that question either. 'Cause I feel like that can change from day to day, but living a great life
Right.
is being around people that love and support you and that you love and support back is one, whether that be family or friends, and then doing what makes you happy. And I know it's gonna be hard, but for me, a life like that would be going to college, not partying every single night, but rather getting my degree, working 4 years, and then once I graduate, I'm ahead of the game in my sense, and I would much rather work, 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 and then later on in life, relax. So, to me, living a great life is work as hard as you can as early as possible, get somewhere where you're comfortable, and then you can lay back. Because too often I'll see these Instagram reels of like, why are you always working, or why do you always work out? Why don't you come party with us? And I'm totally on the other side where I'm just like, yeah, why do you party so much? Because I'd go out and do it and be like the ones that are always working. I'd rather work 25 hours a day if I could and be ahead of the game. So living a great life is being around people that love and support you, going and doing and working until you're comfortable with where you're at and be happy doing something that makes you happy.
That's awesome. Well, that's amazing that even at your age, having that level of self-awareness in it. Because like you said, especially on the working piece, I feel like culture at large, they tend to look down on people who are willing to put in the time and put in that grind, whether it be working out, whether it be trying to build something bigger than themselves and build something that will create wealth, not just money that's coming in, but long-term wealth. So that's huge, man. That's really huge. For the last question, right now, how would you define creating great things?
Creating great things, that can come a million different ways. My creating great things is having these ideas that, again, you're just going to be like self doubting yourself. You're going to self doubt a lot. You got to get past that. And then some way, somehow, you just got to make it happen. And creating great things might not come overnight, might not come in the next month, certainly might not come in the next 5 years. Maybe this great idea of creating great things could be, I guess, in a business sense, would find your niche and go do it. And again, don't care what people think about you. Now, creating great things within the community would probably look similar to living a great life and being a community person is probably I'm a community person. I love the community I live in. That really definitely being a community person helps a lot because you're around people that, hey, we just met, but I absolutely love and support everything that you do because we're here for the same reason. We're here for the same purpose. And I feel like everyone in Smithville, although our differences, our different views, opinions, what people think of you, we all are here for the same reason. and we all have these homecoming parades. Everyone shows out. Everyone supports the prom and all that. We have our Christmas parade, Halloween stuff. Like, honestly, I never experienced it, but my mom and dad grew up in a small community in New Mexico, and they said that Smithville feels like it did when they were kids. Everyone knows each other. Everyone loves and supports each other. Everyone shows out to the football games Friday night. So that's probably my answer, is the community, being a community person, loving and supporting each other, and being around those people that make you thrive and who you are as a person.
That's awesome, man. I love it. Well, let people know if they want to buy Cheesecake, how to get a hold of you, and let them know where to go to listen to the podcast and everything else you're up to.
Yeah. So if you want to order a cheesecake, you can go follow me on Instagram at Riker_cheesecake_tavern. That's Riker with a W. Interested in ordering, you can DM me on there. I also have a Facebook group, Riker's Cheesecake Tavern. That's Riker with a W. And honestly, that has grown tremendously over the past week because I got posted on the police department page because I went and donated
saw that
the cheesecake. And I was like, cool, nice. So there's that. And then podcast, we are on iHeartRadio, Pandora, and Spotify. And you can find us at the Pulse Podcast TPP with Riker and Payton, Payton. And we try to upload twice a week, but we just got back. So we're trying to get back in the swing of things. And then you can go follow our podcast on Instagram as well at the Pulse Podcast TPP.
Thank you for listening to the Live and Create podcast. If you like what you heard, make sure you subscribe and leave a comment or a review.
The Live and Create podcast.